Hey guys, Chris Hill here with Matt Plapp. How are you, buddy?
Living the dream, brother. How are you?
Doing great, man. You're over there in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. The founder and CEO of America's Best Restaurants. You've written a couple books. You have a really cool background in the industry. You started a marketing agency, and you recently wrote a book, Restaurant Marketing That Works. There it is. And we are going to, I'm going to give away a few of his books. So keep an eye. I'll throw a link in here for details on giveaway. But Matt, give folks a little bit. This is a rundown of your bio, your background, what you've been up to the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, so I've been in marketing since '99. You dated me. I was telling people the other day I was 25 now.
Yeah.
I'm 45 years old. Been in marketing since 1999, and I have a unique background in that. In '99, I was selling radio advertising, and I enjoyed it because I got to have a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs, and I had a lot of restaurants. Restaurants weren't big on our radio station. But what I found was a lot of them, because of the money, but a lot of them could do trade. And so I became the trade king. And probably within 6 months of being in radio, I had probably 20 restaurants that were giving me $500 a month trade, $500 a month cash. And I just got to know them really well because they appreciated the chance to get their message out on the radio. At the same time, my dad and my brother and I had an idea, a vision to create a consignment boat and RV dealership where basically you bring your vehicle to and we sell it. Well, the problem was, we didn't have a lot. And so I went to a guy that I knew in the world of the internet things back then and computer repair. And he sold me a book on how to create websites. And I'm not a tech person. Like if you know me and you've been around me my whole life, some people now think of me as a tech guy because we have a tech company, but I wasn't back then. And so bought the book, learned how to design a website, and we started Outdoor Consignments as a boat and RV dealership, online only. From there, I grew. The business grew to 15 million, 3 locations. Eventually got to a point where I hated having all the employees because I was in my 20s and early 30s. Flash forward to today, we've had our marketing firm. We started in 2008 that we've had since then. Our first clients were restaurants, and we've got a lot of restaurants now. Back in 2015, we saw that we had 34 clients from 31 industries. And the only crossover I had was I had 2 guys that owned a handful of restaurants. And what was cool about those restaurants is all the marketing that we did for them on YouTube and Facebook and email and text and even radio and TV, I could share the wins. I could see what worked for this restaurant and put it in play for the other guy's restaurant. He'd be like, oh, cool, that worked at Hofbrauhaus, it'll work at Quaker Steak. Well, a lot of my other clients, I couldn't do that. So in 2015, we decided to shift and said, hey, over the next 24 months, we're going to go exclusively restaurants. And we're going to go nationwide versus regional. So here we are today, America's Best Restaurants. A few hundred restaurant clients, and we run tens of thousands of campaigns a month via email, text, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it.
Yeah, well, and you think of all the great restaurants out there, the ones that are really successful, especially the ones that have kind of made it through the storm of the last year and a half or so. Yeah. They're the ones that like you guys did years ago. They specialize in something, right? They're known for something versus trying to kind of be all things to all people.
And that's tough. That was what we were known as. We were a small business marketing firm for any business. And the negative is you don't become an expert at anything. And I was at a restaurant recently, and I was talking to a friend of mine. We went there. It was a place he liked. And I'm looking at their menu, and they had steaks, they had pot stickers, they had Thai food, they had burritos. And I'm like, I don't care how good you are. There's no way you can have all of those items be awesome. Whereas when I go to the Thai place up the street, I'm having lunch there with a friend next week, all they do is Thai food, and it's amazing. And so I agree. And that's kind of the way we looked at it with us, is what we're really good. My team, Ashley, who's been with me now 10 years, she's created tens of thousands, 100,000 plus campaigns online for businesses. And when we saw that, what she did for a car dealership, we could kind of tweak it and make it work for a restaurant 7-8 years ago. It just, the data wasn't there. Now we just got done with a team meeting, had about 15 of us in our conference room, and we were going over stuff. And it's cool to be able to look at it and say, hey, look, we added this scary face emoji to these 20 text messages. And it worked better than these other 40.
Right.
Being able to share that information not only helps us be better for our clients, but it also helps us fine tune our skill from a standpoint of having the data that backs up what we're doing.
Right. And I know you're big on, so you have the radio background. I've heard you say multiple times, create your own radio station.
Yeah.
And that's something that I preach in marketing too. It's like, if you have a huge market, like, we have probably a 1.5 million people here in coastal Virginia, but it spreads from Virginia Beach to Williamsburg, which is 50 miles away. If I have a local independent restaurant here in Virginia Beach, it doesn't really do any good to have a radio or TV ad if I'm just trying to target people within 2 to 3, 5 miles from here.
Yeah. And that's where that came from. I was doing a seminar. I used to do seminars for Constant Contact. They would pay me to do seminars to basically bring people in and talk about my expertise in digital marketing and mass media. And then they obviously had an audience for people that wanted to buy email marketing from them. And I remember one time I had a whiteboard up, and it was the first time I ever did it. I said, hey, I want you to think about how you can create your own radio station. Go, what do you mean? I'm like, well, okay, let's draw a map. I drew a map out, and I used an example of a place called Quaker Steak and Lube, Florence. It's literally like a mile that way. It's a buffalo wing restaurant and steak restaurant. And I said, if they run an advertisement on the radio, probably 98% of the people that are hearing the commercial are not coming here. They're 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away. And so I kind of drew a little circle around that. I said, so if you break it down, let's say you get the biggest and best radio station in Cincinnati and they reach 200,000 people a week is what they all brag about. Well, when you actually break that down to every 15 minutes when your commercial plays, they reach about 10,000 people when your commercial has the opportunity to be heard. So if 95% of those people aren't within 10 miles of your restaurant, they aren't coming here for a radio commercial. So now all of a sudden, I'm not a math guy, but let's just take it 90% down. So 10% of 10,000 means 1,000 people. You got 1,000 people that have the ability, maybe within your area, to hear the commercial. But of those 1,000, how many actually heard it? How many kids weren't talking? They weren't on their phone. They weren't changing the station. Now you're down to a few hundred people. So you just spent a lot of money to reach a few hundred people. And my comment to a guy in the audience who brought this up, I said, how many people on your email list? He's like, we got like 800. I said, okay. You have a Facebook page, right? Yeah. 1,000 people. You got LinkedIn. You've got YouTube. You've got Twitter, Instagram. Add all of those up. You can cultivate and create your own radio station. Because guess what? The emails you have at your restaurant are people that came to your restaurant. They came to your website. They ordered from you. You're not wasting it on people who live 30 minutes away. And that's where I came up with the concept, create your own radio station. I don't know if I even mentioned it in this book. I probably do, but I actually wrote a book called that. And my publisher was like, looked at it and said, man, this isn't, people will be confused. Like nobody going to looking up, create a radio station.
Yeah.
And my first book, Don't 86 Your Restaurant Sales, and my second book, Sell More Slices, had a chapter in there called Create Your Own Radio Station and talked about the vision.
Yeah, I feel like that could easily be like lumped into people searching like create your own radio station for dummies or something like that. And you look at radio stations now too. I don't listen to a whole lot of live radio, which is another one of the problems, but a lot of them too have like text us this code word, and you'll be entered to win whatever. Yeah. But that's their way of keeping in touch with people as well. Like it's all about being able to connect with the customers. I know you have a certain acronym, I guess you'd say. Is it ABR? Attract, build, retain. Yeah. This is very in line with a lot of the marketing ideas I have, but talk to us.
Yeah, so attract, build, retain. I was trying to find something to play off our company logo, America's Best Restaurants, ABR.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so when I looked at it, we've always had three things we've done, which was ironic. We've always helped businesses attract attention because at the end of the day, if Chris Hill likes this restaurant and this restaurant gets Chris Hill's attention 10 times a year, they're going to get a certain amount of business. If they get Chris Hill's attention 50 times a year, they're going to get X amount more business from Chris Hill. So how do we help restaurants attract attention? The next part is how do we help them build a database? Because I'm adamant, as a restaurateur, the number one asset you can have outside of awesome food and an awesome team is a database of people to talk about your awesome food and your awesome team too. But the problem is a lot of businesses spend all their time and effort coming up with really cool marketing campaigns that don't lead people anywhere. And then the last part is retain that. Yeah, you've built a database now. So you attracted attention. You use that attention and build a database. You've got to retain them. You've got to talk to them now. And I don't mean send all 5,000 people on your email list the exact same email to all 5,000 people and then every week talk about yourself. I mean, using that list to have conversations. Like We just got done with a team meeting, as I mentioned. We were talking about our strategies. For our strategy is week 1 of the month, we reach out to new customers. Week 2, frequent customers. Week 3, lost customers. Week 4, everybody. And the concept there is that in the end, in 12 months from now, the people who are frequent hardcore customers of XYZ restaurant will have gotten 22 to 26 emails and texts the prior year, not 52. And they also aren't about them. The frequent customers get hit with an engagement contact campaign and a contest every month. It's not about the restaurant. I'm like, oh, I don't really need Chris Hill. If Chris Hill loves my burritos, I don't need to tell you about my burritos. I need you to see my name more often. And if you get a text message that says, hey, Chris, go to Facebook, guess how many jalapenos are in the jar? You click and go to Facebook and there's a giant jar of jalapenos. That'd be a big jar. I'll hold my arms like this.
Yeah.
If you guess on that, guess what? I got your attention with a text. I got you to click a link. I got you to go to Facebook and comment. So now I just got your attention 3 times like that. And I wasn't even talking about my restaurant.
And in real time, in a sense, the engagement. So if you have a database of X number of people, you know who's clicking, who's unsubscribing if you're not doing the right content. And that way too, you're versus the radio stuff. Who knows? It's almost like brand advertising versus direct to consumer.
Oh, there's a restaurant down the street from here that I really enjoy. That I know the owner. Don't have a business relationship with him. We've known each other for a long time, and I'm not a solicitor. I don't knock on a lot of doors. We typically, most of our clients come to us and from content. And I was thinking one day, I was listening, like we actually did some work with them probably 4 years ago through another person. Their ad agency knows me. And we put together some campaigns. We did a 60-day little promo for them to help them realize the value of building an email list. And we got about 1,800 people in like 6 to 8 weeks to join this email and text list. And he's like, oh, what's the big deal? Like at the same time, they're spending $10,000 a month on radio advertising. They're buying the sports station locally. They're buying the Cincinnati Reds radio advertising. So you've got a brand that they have 3 locations over here. 90% of the audience isn't even near them.
Yeah.
And so you've got these people are hearing your commercial potentially. Majority of them aren't near you, like we talked about before. But then at the same time, you don't know what they did. I love the fact that I can see a contest we put on Facebook. We had a place called Black Rock Grand Rapids. 5,600 people commented on a Facebook post we put up for a contest. I can look and see that we spent $50. We sent an email, we sent a text, and we made that post. Yeah. That post started off with like 600 people engaged in it. We sent an email to 894 people. 34% of them responded to the email to the contest. We sent a text message to the people that didn't respond to the email, like 500 of them. 50% of those people went to the Facebook post. So I can see tangibly that these vanity things happen, clicks, comments, likes. But then on our end, what this talks about, the build part, is I can also see that those people came into a database. When they engaged in our marketing, all of our marketing, we try and have a mechanism that gets people to give us their name, phone number, email, visit frequency, and birthday. The minute they do that, now I have their information, and now I can track and monetize that database versus track and monetize the front end radio commercial or just boosted Facebook post.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I want to talk about how this all, having a database and such, applies to restaurant marketing, where we are kind of in the current state of things. I feel like a year and a half ago, if you had a database, you're far ahead above of your competition. But let's come back to that real quick. I do want to touch on something I just blanked on. So let's go ahead and tackle that then.
Yeah. So I had a client that actually called me last June, and he said, Matt, your team pandemic proofed my business. Mm-hmm. I'm like, pandemic proof? Like, did I ship you masks and hand sanitizer? He's like, no. He said, in the last year and a half they had been working with us, they had built a database for their pizza chain of 18,000 customers. Before that, they had a couple thousand. He said the only reason we were able to pivot with no more dining room and curbside pickup and online ordering and third party, the only way we were able to do that was we had a database to talk to. And we had it. And I have been telling clients for years till I was blue in the face. the number one thing you should have for your marketing as all proof, not like in the book, I talk about trackable, redeemable offers. I talk about monetizing what your database. At the end of the day, if you do a pretty solid job of building a database, it doesn't matter what you can track from it. Because if you're sitting here in a year and you've got 10,000 more people than you had in the database 12 months ago, and you've done the correct things inside your restaurant, getting people's info, on your website, getting their info, on Facebook, there's a good chance that database is pretty solid. And so we've been talking about this forever, but we had a lot of clients that talked about that value. And I had the publisher of the book, when I originally had the book title, it was Restaurant Marketing That Works, Back to the Basics 101. Because my vision was that so many restaurants aren't doing the basics. They're buying radio advertising when their website sucks. They're worried about third-party ordering when they're not doing anything in store to capture people's information. They don't have an email list. They don't have a text list. They aren't posting on Facebook. So my vision for this book was to give them the basics and easy steps to swallow. It's a 2.5-hour read that at the end of the book, you've got the basics. Well, my publisher called me late last year and said, hey, I had like 2 chapters left. He said, what changes are you going to make to the book because of the pandemic? And because I started writing it before the pandemic.
Oh, gotcha.
And I said, none. What do you mean? I said, Dave, what we were doing 2 years ago, what we're doing during the pandemic, and what we'll do after are the same. It's attract attention, build a database, and talk to your customers. Now, it happens to be that during the pandemic, it was even more important to talk to your customers. And with us, our big value proposition is building a database. And if you're sitting here, like I get people all the time, like, oh, they look at advertising as an expense. I'm sorry. If you spent $1,000, like I had a client, I was looking at his number, they spent $1,833 in 1 month on our costs, on Facebook ads, on Instagram ads, on YouTube. They built a database of 800 people from that money. That's not an expense. That is an investment into 800 customers' information. All you've got to do is influence 50 to 100 of those people every week to walk in when they weren't going to. Mm-hmm. And you increase your sales. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, get half those people to come in once and it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Obviously, once they're in the door, it's up to you to obviously, like you guys do, you retain. Now, I know there's some people probably listening here that are maybe old school or you know, for I think a lot of restaurants, a lot of chefs, it's marketing is kind of an afterthought. You know, it's like it's late on Friday. Oh, here, take a quick picture of the special starting on Facebook or Instagram, and let's call it a day. So I bet you have some people. I can hear some of my audience right now, maybe pushing back and saying, "Well, I already signed up for all these things with my email address or with my phone number. You know, nobody wants to sign up for one more thing." How do you push back on that? But then also, how would you, if you're trying to start a list, how would you get folks to get engaged with it and sign up?
Yeah. So, and I hear that people say, "Oh, people are busy, they're inundated, they won't sign up." They won't sign up if you don't give them a valid reason to. It's the same thing as my daughter, who's 19, and my son that's 17. You know, my daughter knows that in order for her Jeep to go back with her to college, certain things have to happen. And so it's like, Paige, do you want your Jeep on campus this year? Yes, this has to happen. Personally, your work and your grades and your sports, because she's an athlete. Cool. She does them. Well, it's the same thing. I walk in a restaurant and you say, hey,
20% off an appetizer. That's not very enticing.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to give me your email, do you? I actually heard that one time. But I was at a set-up coffee shop. The like girl goes, "You don't want to give me your email, do you? And join our loyalty program." I'm like, Jesus, that's a hell of a sales pitch. But no, I mean, you've got to look at it as you're acquiring something very valuable. So what I tell a lot of our clients, like if I owned a restaurant, and we actually will in 2 years, our vision is to open our own restaurant near our headquarters here in Florence, Kentucky, so we can practice what we preach. But I will do whatever it takes. Every person that walks in my door, you getting a burrito? Chris, you obviously like burritos. I bet you would love a burrito next week for free. Yeah? Dude, scan this code, answer 5 quick questions. You're going to get a free burrito and a couple other perks, and you're going to be a VIP. We're going to take care of you and talk to you in the future. If you believe it, they will. And if you sell it, then if you say, hey, Chris, I'm going to give you a free Coke with a purchase of 2 entrees and an appetizer. You're like, well, that's great, bro. Thanks for giving me 10 cents. So you want to look at it from a standpoint of what value proposition can you give them that makes it a no-brainer? I go to a steakhouse down the street from my house. It costs $250 every time me, my wife, and my kids go there. Actually, me and my wife went there 2 weeks ago. It was like $211, I think, with tip for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
They've never offered anything. They don't do it. They're the only place that, I don't do that stuff. If you could get me to come back and spend $200 5 more times a year, that's $1,000 in incremental revenue. That's $800, $700 to $800 in profit because you already had everything else. All because maybe you went to Matt's table and said, Matt, you guys come here a few times a year. I always see you in your orange shirt. I love it. Love the orange shoes. You're a genius. No, I'm just kidding. You want a free steak your next visit? You want a free dessert? How about a bottle of wine this visit? Sure. What's up? Scan this code, join our VIP program. You give us a couple of pieces of information. We communicate with you down the road. You get some perks. Everybody's going to do it. And you get restaurants will say, oh, it's not my style. I don't want to give away food. You're not giving away food. It's a marketing expense. It shouldn't hit your food cost because it's a marketing expense. You're giving 1,000 people a $3 appetizer, your food cost. You know what? Don't put $3,000 off your food costs on the back of house. Put $3,000 on your advertising line and know that you just gained an asset of people's information.
Right. Well, and I saw last week one day, I saw you posted Joey Coleman's book, Never Lose a Customer Again. And I have the same book. It's a great book. I love Joey. One of the things he argues, and like you kind of just said, is do you have people that come in and all right, now especially a lot of places use Opentable or Resi or somewhere else to, especially with the pandemic, even like casual restaurants went towards that to kind of minimize traffic coming in at a certain time with reservations. But you have notes and you can keep information about people. So even if they didn't offer you a free steak, if you go like 2 or 3 times and like you like a certain table, or if your wife likes a glass of wine, and they have that on the table for you, there's small touches of service that people really just don't tap into. One of the biggest problems that I see is, sorry, my dog's back here shaking. One of the problems I see is you have a table tent or something like that, and instead of like you just did, engaging with it and saying, hey, here's the deal, we'd love to have you, free burrito next time you come in, 5 quick questions, and you'll be on our VIP list or whatever it is. Instead of that, they just put the table tent out there and then nobody signs up.
Yeah. Oh, we had a client of ours that had 2 locations, and I was talking to him this about a month ago, and he runs one and his brother runs the other. And I noticed their in-store marketing had been put in place because we can see where everybody joins. They join from Yelp, they join from Google, they join from the website, the in-store, our Facebook ads, our organic stuff. I can see where they're coming from. And I said, I noticed that you've got like 800 people or so that joined. I was like 750, and your brother has like 50. Why? It's the same restaurant, 2 different locations. You guys both own it. He said, because I made it part of our SOP. Before that person hands you their credit card, you have a call to, he followed my script exactly. Matt, you're not using your phone. You're obviously not in our VIP program. Did you know you could have that same meal free next week? Oh, seriously? How? Scan this code, answer 5 questions. It's simple. When you lay out what it is, it's easy. His brother put it just taped it, piece of paper, taped it to the back of the register. And then people would walk up and they go, hey, by the way, you can scan that and get something. And they had 50 people. This guy had 7. I mean, do the math on that. A lot of people don't realize you have to, in order to kind of change the direction of your restaurant and I don't say increase sales, I say impact sales, because there's a lot of things that can impact your sales that isn't going to increase. Like, for example, I could say I'm going to help you get 20% more customers to come in. Well, if you're doing things on the other end that are causing 30% to leave, or the pandemic is causing 40% less to come through the doors, I'm not going to increase your sales, but I can impact. But did you know that 600 or so customers can impact your sales on an annual basis? People think it's some huge number. It's not. If you build a database of 5,000 people on an annual basis, that's 500 people a month. 500 people a month. 100 from walking to your door, 100 from Facebook, 100 from your website, 100 from Google and Yelp, and 100 from other information like you already have, and you send an email and get more information. If you build a database of 5,000 to 6,000 people a year, All you need to do is influence 10% of them to become frequent customers.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science. The stat that kills me, that just makes my heart break every time I walk in a restaurant, 85% of restaurants, the 85% of the customers that walk in restaurants are not in an organized database that the restaurant has. Think about the number of restaurants you've went in, Chris. Like I went to the Thai place the other day. I went to Penn Station down here. I went to my dad and then went to Popeyes the other day. All these places I go in, I kind of think about it when I walk in, because I take my own equation. 85% of the people, I go, oh shit, I'm not even in their database. And I eat here once a week.
All right.
Imagine if I was in your database, maybe I'd come back twice a week. Maybe I quit skipping a month at a time when things happen. It's saddening, because the most important and the hardest thing to get somebody to do is to come to your business. The facts are, the hardest thing you could ever do from a marketing standpoint is get somebody to pass up their normal restaurant and take the plunge to trust to come eat at your restaurant. If they've done that effort, they've drove their car there, they've parked, they've walked in the front door, they've handed you their credit card, you owe it to them to get their information. Yeah.
Well, and I'm not sure what the exact stats are. I heard John Taffer kind of spit them out there one time, but you get somebody come in, the chances, if they have a good experience, the chances of them coming back are around like 33, 35%. If you get them to come back a third time, it's like 40%. So really not that much higher. But if you get them to come back one more time, that third visit is around like 75% or something like that. I've got the numbers a little bit off, but basically we can't just hope they come in once and then hope they come back. We got to keep them engaged, like you said, give them a reason to come back. One of the companies I think that does a really good job of this, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cooper's Hawk.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple of them around here, and they have their whole wine program, which is, it's definitely a different business model. I think they're almost more of a wine company that uses a restaurant to sell their wine. But you have it's like $35, whatever. They have, I think, 600,000 people or something on their that pay that each month, which is crazy. But they when you come in, they have the card you get and you swipe it. They know, they know what everybody's ordering. They know which wines you like. There's so much information that you're able to collect from people, not just their phone numbers, but also like their tendencies, when they maybe come in and use that for, looking at historical sales and the list goes on. There's so many ways that the technology has changed in the last 10 years that, 10 years ago we said it's changed a lot, in 10 years, but folks really aren't tapping into.
No, they're not. It's so easy nowadays. When we say tapping into, the part they're not tapping into is this device right here. It's free to use your phone and shoot video content and relate to your customers. Mm-hmm. There's so many things we're not tapping into. The number one thing I think is we're not gaining data from our customers, but the number two thing is we're not telling our story. I was on a restaurant, a new client came on board the other day with our company. I try and go into, we have a private group for every client, and I go in and do a video about that. I see what they're doing. I say, thank you for your business. We appreciate it. Look forward to work with you. My team's taking care of you. Here's a couple of things I see. Well, I went to his Facebook page, and he had done a really impactful live video like 2 months ago. It was gold. And it's the only one he'd done in like 6 months. I said, dude, pick up the phone. That video cost you nothing. It got like 800 views. It had 50 emojis. It had all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. You do that every week, people now relate with you. They see that you're not some billionaire in a high rise in New York City that owns 500 restaurants. They see it's you. You're one person. You're in your restaurant.
Right.
They see your employees. They see the compassion. They see that you want to take care of them. People like doing business with people that they like. And that's the problem in a lot of restaurants. And a lot of restaurants we're a number. I walk into, I always crack up myself. I wear an orange shirt every day. I wear orange shoes every day. One of my cars is orange. It's easy to see when I pull up, when I walk in the restaurant. Very few restaurants recognize people that walk in their doors. Matt, welcome back, man. We appreciate you coming back. Like, I'm going to go get a smoothie today from a place called Better Blend. When I open the door, they will have it ready to hand to me. They know who I am. That's one of the only places I say, Matt, what's going on? Where you got? Where are you flying to this week? What are you shooting? Like, they all know this. But a lot of restaurants don't. People are a number. And if you treat people like a number, they're going to treat you like a number. And if you want to be treated like a number, that's when your sales go away. And so if you can create connections, like you said, having that database is great, having more information, knowing that their anniversary is this day, knowing that they're a red wine drinker, know that they like lagers, know that they're a chicken wing person. If you can have, the more information you can have, the better. You mentioned earlier, like the wait systems. One of our clients uses Opentable. And he's like, Matt, one of the biggest reasons we use Opentable is we're 100% reservations only. It helps us staff. It helps us understand every aspect of our business. Like, we pay a fee for it. We get it. He's like, but I also love it. We put notes in there that when people are making reservations, we'll ask them, hey, what brings you in tonight? Special occasion, like that, boom. Also, when the server's having a conversation and the manager's doing that table touch, they'll find out stuff and they'll go and log it. When he was telling me one time, this guy was in with his kid and he's like, yeah, he's going off to the military. Go off to the military. This is his push away. Great. They got him some stuff. Well, then about a month later, he goes back and the owner, Matthew Borowski, would look at everybody's, it's on the reservation sheet and any notes. Oh, he was in 2 months ago, his son in the military, walks over. What's going on, Mr. Smith? Welcome back. How's your son doing? Is he everything good in the military? Guy's like, holy crap. Like, it made that much better of an experience because he used technology.
Yeah. Well, and that also goes into, I think, a little bit of like your brand DNA and hiring and training folks to care and to want to create an amazing experience every time somebody walks in the door. Matt, you guys are doing some cool things. I know you showed me before we hopped on here a quick tour of the co-working space you have. I know you're also working on, and I'm not sure if it's launched or about to launch, but America's Best Restaurants University, is it? Or what? Yep. What are you guys up to these days?
Yeah, so our company, America's Best Restaurants, has a couple divisions. Number one, you mentioned we just opened up a new 9,000 square foot headquarters, of which I dedicated part of the top floor to a shared workspace because I've got a lot of friends that want to come have a place to hang out and work that don't have offices. We also opened it up. I don't know if I've told you this. It's free to come here and work whenever you want, use conference rooms, to anybody in the restaurant space in this region.
Oh, cool.
Or anywhere, really. Because,
anyone in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, because what I've seen is a lot of restaurants have their marketing meetings, their owners meetings, their shift. They have all their meetings at the restaurant, and it's hard.
And someone's always being pulled away, right? Yeah. There's a vendor here, or
yeah. And so I wanted to the space. It's officially open right now. We're doing a big grand opening next month, but it's America's Best Restaurants is the upstairs. The shared workspace, the lower levels, America's Best Restaurants University. We're going to start having monthly workshops where people like yourself will bring in, have a workshop, go over different things in the business, not just marketing, everything, back of house, front of house, menus, websites, Facebook, Instagram, food costs, labor costs, whatever. My goal with America's Best Restaurants University is to be a place where people can come in small group and learn how to take their business to the next level. And then America's Best Restaurants TV show launches soon too. We've got a Mercedes Sprinter van that's been traveling. It's been to Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and it's again in North Carolina this week. I fly tomorrow to pick it up. We're doing Chapel Hill and Greensboro, North Carolina. We film 10 episodes a week for the one van. By this time, late next year, we'll have 10 vans on the road touring the country. And americasbestrestaurants.com will become a hub for people to find restaurant content, restaurants, places they need to go visit. Our tagline is helping restaurants find frequent customers, helping consumers find a place they want to go eat weekly. So we got a lot going on. And then, of course, the book just came out. So like my wife says, I never like to keep myself unbusy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just seeing you on different social media, you seem to be popping up kind of everywhere. So y'all definitely. So it's where is the best place socially and website people can follow you? Yeah. Virtually, but also you may even be in someone's hometown.
Yeah, Matt Plapp, Matt at mattplapp.com is my email. Mattplapp.com is a website. You can find the links from there to our different entities. And then on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Matt Plapp, easy to find. I'm pretty active on there. I'm easy to reach out to. If anybody wants to reach out to me on my cell phone, I always tell operators, if you're an operator that's looking for some restaurant advice, marketing, that I might be able to lend a helpful advice to. I've got a team of 40 plus that runs that part of the company. I've removed myself out of the day-to-day from a standpoint that I don't actually do anything in the business except advise. So I try and spend time talking to clients. My cell phone is 859-743-2408. 859-743-2408. And then depending on when this airs, the book's on Amazon. We're doing any day it's supposed to hit like $7 to be on there.
Nice.
So it'd be a good value. But you can go online. Amazon's the best place to buy the book. It's a good, quick read. You'll be able to read this. I'm actually going to read it again myself on my flight tomorrow because honestly, I haven't read it in the last 2 months because I've been writing it. And I've read it a couple of times, the manuscript, but I haven't read it since it got printed. So I'm like, I better read it myself. So I'm going to read it tomorrow.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. It's also, to me, at least, you've done this before, but it's also kind of a little bit painful. I feel like it's like maybe I should have said this a different way, but no. And you can obviously go on Amazon. I assume they can maybe even buy a bundle of all 3 books if they want to.
Yeah, you can buy all 3. You can buy the book, and I'll just ask you leave a review. I love to hear feedback on what's going on. It's always cool to hear when the things I take for granted, a lot of my knowledge, like you take for granted a lot of your knowledge. We all do. I talk to chefs. I was like, oh, this is no big deal how I made this steak. I'm like, that's a big deal to me. I can't do it. And that's unbelievable. So we all take for granted the knowledge we have, and that knowledge impacts people. So I hope that this book can do more than what we've done with our other books, and just help restaurants learn how to survive and thrive in today's marketing world.
Yeah, well, for $7 or $10 or $20 to take and boil down someone's experiences over the last 10, 20 years into a 2.5-hour read, it's a bargain. So definitely check it out. We'll put a link here to Amazon to pick up a copy. So Matt, it's been awesome. Safe travels, and we'll keep in touch, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Thanks.